This podcast contains paid advertisements, but more on that later. Welcome to the O'Connor Bootstrap Podcast, where I discuss how you can grow your business by the bootstraps. This applies to all entrepreneurs, from the person just starting up to the one that is already well established. My goal is to help you grow. I am your host, Isaiah O'Connor. So today I'm going to start off with my sponsor, Audible. It's audible.com, link in the description below. What is Audible? Audible is audiobooks. People read books, you get to listen to them. It's great if you're really busy. I've got the podcast, attempting to try to keep up on the blog. I've got a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old boy stuck home because of coronavirus, and trying to run a balloon business, and plan for my comeback here coming up soon. And I picked up another job planting trees in the meantime to make ends meet until I can reopen my business. I've got a lot on my hands. I don't have a lot of time to sit and read. But you know I do have a lot of? Time driving in my car and time walking around and planting trees. I can listen to things. So that means I can listen to my books. So if you're really busy, don't have time to read, but you want to read and consume books, multimillionaires, multiple businessmen read a lot of books. It's very important to read. If you're an entrepreneur, if you're a business person, read. It will help you succeed. So this is the easy way to go. Go check them out. 30-day free trial, $14.95 after a month afterwards. Quite honestly, if I had the choice between Audible and Netflix, I'd take Audible. Just me. And if you cancel the account, you keep your audiobooks, you get 30% off of all additional purchases. You can exchange your audiobooks if you don't like it. You can swap it for free. Great customer service. You can cancel it anytime. You're not locked in. They're really great. So go check them out. They're amazing. Audible.com. And today I'm going to recommend it's not really a book. It's a lecture series that you can get on Audible. I will have a direct link in the description. And if you click on that link, it will help us out. If you get the book, that'd be great. Thank you. But this is part of the Great Courses series that you can get on Audible. And this one's called History's Great Military Blunders and the Lessons They Teach. It's by a guy named Gregory S. Aldrete. I can't pronounce his last name. But point being is he goes through a series of military blunders. And he describes them, what mistakes were made, how they were made, and what caused them, and the results. Now, when he does this, he talks about it. The reason he does is because he finds that it's good to study people's successes, but it's also good to study people's failures. Because if you can learn from other people's mistakes, learn what failures they made, learn how businesses went bankrupt, learned about these mistakes, and learn from these bits of history, well, going forward, you can avoid making the same mistakes they did, which is really a unique thing. This is a follow-up to my Learning Outside the Box. I mentioned this course. Now, I can't remember how long the course is. It's one lecture per battle or series of battles or whatever he talks about. It's something like, I don't know, 15 or 20 battles. I can't remember. But it's a great course. 30 minutes each. These are Ivy League grade college professors. They're really good. So go check it out again. But here's the thing. When he's talking about military failures, every one of these apply to business. Every one of the blunders I've seen in business. Sometimes these are broad categories, but they're things to really think about. When he goes through the course, again, check it out. It's not a business course. It's not a military. It's a military history course. But because it contains a lot of things about leadership and the way the troops worked and everything else, you get a lot of business um, understanding of leadership from it. Now, he had a four main categories of military failure, which were failures of planning, leadership, execution, and adaptation. And that right there is a lot to think about. That's four important things. When you fail to plan correctly in your business can have a big problem. If you have bad leadership, ditto. If you have a great plan, great leadership, but horrible execution, again, won't help. And if you can't adapt to changing situations, like I talked about a couple podcasts ago, innovate or die, you won't succeed. You need to be able to have all these things. You need to be good at planning. You need to have great leadership skills, be able to execute very, very well, and adapt to the situations coming. And I'm thinking about working on doing a series on leadership and what it means to be a leader and not just a boss, etc. But it's each of these right here is a series in and of itself. But as I talked about, people talk about using battleships in the age of airplanes. That was a failure of adaptation, fighting the last war. Flip over to businesses. I hear about businesses, or I've seen businesses like Radio Shack, where they failed to adapt to modern technology and adapt to keep their core audience. They tried. Actually, no, that was a bad one. That was a failure of adaptation. No, I was right. They failed to properly adapt to the new changes in the market. They tried to, but instead of adapting their core market of parts and pieces and great information, they just threw that away and tried something else. I mean, it was still kind of there, but not really. So that wasn't great. Or I've seen and heard of giant corporations that just refuse to change the way things were when their founder died. On a couple of different occasions where once the founder died, they kept doing things the exact same way the founder did it for decades after the guy was dead. One company I heard about was this massive supermarket chain, and the guy who took over dressed and cut his hair and did the facial hair exactly like the previous owner that died. And his whole philosophy was what would the founder have done? What would the founder have done? And things got worse and worse and worse until the entire company, it was 100 years old or something along those lines, just collapsed because they refused to adapt. Again, a lot of these failures, by the way, they pile up onto each other. You have a bad leader who fails at planning, who's poor at execution and doesn't adapt, then you're really in trouble. And I've seen failures of planning, failures of execution, failures of leadership and execution, or failures of leadership and planning failures. This is important stuff. And this is a book on military history. I had no clue that I'd be getting business information from this. And all these are great examples. They talk about all these different battles where people failed. And some of these battles talks about the people that won because of it. So even when exploring failures, sometimes the people that fell are defeated by people who succeed, and you can see the differences, and it makes quite the stark outline of the failures and the good leadership, the good planning, etc. Now, I do highly suggest checking out this lecture series on these Great Military Blunders. I like the guy teaching. I like his presentation style. It's great information, and it goes into a lot of stuff. It talks about how uh, things like reinforcing failure. That's bad leadership. There's right there. There's a whole lesson right there. Talks about how often when a battle was clearly lost, like the famous Battle of Gallipoli or the Dardanelles, where the battle was clearly lost. And what do? They kept sending more troops and more troops and more troops and more troops, and they kept reinforcing failure, and they never succeeded. They had to withdraw all the troops and just basically sending troops to just go and die. So I've seen that in business so many times too, where a businessman makes a choice and it does badly, and instead of pulling the product or service and canceling it and going in a different direction, they push it harder and harder and harder until the company goes bankrupt. I was just listening to a podcast on business wars, and it was Macy's versus another giant uh, department store, and I can't even remember the name of it because they went under before I was born, and they're big on the East Coast. And they failed to adapt, and they failed to fix up things. They failed to change. The leadership was really trying, but was failing at that. And then he decided to build a huge new store against the advice of everyone else. And when it was clear it wasn't going to work, he kept pouring money into it, trying to save it, and the whole company went under. So reinforcing failure is something that we can learn from military disasters or blunders, and in real life and in business, if you keep reinforcing something that fails, a failed product that you keep pushing, etc., you keep reinforcing failure until you're done. You lose. So don't reinforce something that's not working. That's kind of the lesson we can get from that. That's just one small sample from this great series. Again, I do really encourage you to listen to it because it's more information than I can do in a short little podcast. It's really amazing stuff. Anyway, I will be trying to start doing some book reviews and stuff. So there's kind of a review and kind of some lessons to be pulled out of it. But this was just kind of a long example of where you can find great information about business outside of the business realm. And if your business is failing, look at yourself. Say, hey, is it a leadership failure? Is it us not adapting? Are we not executing properly? Are we reinforcing failure? What's going on? It's a great way to go back and look at some of these things and go, where are we failing? How can we fix it? And keep going. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys later. You have a great day. See you next time. Bye-bye. Okay, just as a reminder, we do offer a free 1/2 hour, no obligation consultation. All you need to do is go to our website and contact us through there, or you can contact me directly at my O'Connor Bootstrap podcast Facebook group or our Atheoz.com Facebook page as well. And if you would like to support this channel, the best thing you can do, of course, is to like and share and subscribe. That helps the most. Or you can check out one of our affiliate links. And of course, I do have a PayPal and a Patreon account, and the links will be in the description below. Thank you very much. You all have a good day. You have been listening to the O'Connor Bootstrap podcast and Atheoz Business Solutions podcast. For other podcasts, past episodes, and related blogs, please check out our website at www.atheoz.com. That is www.atheoz.com or theoz.com. Until next time, I've been your friendly neighborhood entrepreneur, Isaiah O'Connor.